Actually the case over on Rumble, of course, on pause and repause. Spider Eternal. Hey Sticks, is the Clank Blend light medium or dark roast? I would classify it as more somewhere in between actually. It's perfectly smooth and delicious. By the way, the reason that I'm late, I had to go to lunch actually. I went out and got some tea and crostinis and delicious foods such as those. We are live. Actually, I have a little bit more news now. I managed to docket an extra news story, so not as sparse as it was this morning. Sometimes it takes the news cycle a little while on RCP because they don't collate it like nonstop 24/7. So sometimes it takes a while for me to actually get meaningful news stories in there. Danley, your camera angle is off. How so? I'm looking at myself right now. It doesn't seem to be off. Doesn't seem to be off. Maybe it's a problem with your screen or something like that. Better maybe? I don't know. Or it could be trolling. That happens. Mike B, did you see The View got canceled? Really? Okay, this we're looking up. That would be cool news. Oh yeah, apparently they're being pulled off the air. I guess, or something like that. Oh no, it's Trump that's saying that they might try to pull them off the air. Tom Bennett, on hiatus. Hiatus generally means that the company is like, do we really want to go forward with this project or not? By the way, if I'm sweating profusely, right now the humidity is through the roof. Thankfully later it's supposed to pour and there'll be thunderstorms and shit. And it is quite hot. In fact, even keeping my shirt on is bothering me at the moment. Sigil, good news. My dad is out of the hospital, but has to wear a heart monitor for a while to track how his heart does for a while. Today he decided to go driving. Jesus, dude. Well, like I told you, I think he'll be fine. Congratulations, by the way. And good luck to him and Godspeed. Mike L, did you visit the Jewish Kid fun tunnels in New York City? No, I never saw any of the subterranean kosher tunnels while I was there. I wasn't in the same neighborhood, although I was in Brooklyn. One tall order. I'm over here stroking my dick. I got lotion on my dick right now. I'm just stroking my shit. I'm horny as fuck, man. I'm a freak, man, like for real. Yeah. So yeah, let's get to the first news story here. I wanted to ramble about this a little bit. I did cover it this morning, but I'm sure that many of you have already seen the footage of this. But the other day, Donald Trump met with the Fed chairman, Jerome Powell, at a building that they're building for the Fed. And Donald Trump countermanded him repeatedly. He was like, well, the building will cost $2.5 billion. And Trump's like, no, 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 it's going to be higher than that. And Jerome Powell's like, where did you get this information from? He says, oh, from you. And then he pulls a paper out of his suit and hands it to him. And Jerome Powell's looking at it like this. He's like, what the fuck is going on? And Trump effectively ritualistically humiliated him, probably to try to back him down on interest rates. And you know that it was humiliating for Jerome Powell because TDS suffering MSNBC almost immediately jumped on the story, like literally pounced on it. And they're like, no, Jerome Powell wasn't humiliated by Donald Trump. If anything, he showed his candor and his spirit. Well, I mean, if it's from MSNBC, you know that it's wrong anyway. Usually it's 180 from, actual reality. They don't necessarily have the most intelligent viewer base in the world. Not very, very well informed. Not that the legacy media in general is any better. Fox, CNN, doesn't really matter. But uniquely uninformed. And so they pounce on the story, and I thought that was hysterical because it's, again, Donald Trump clearly humiliated him. He wanted to have, if not an amicable interaction, at the very least a professional one. Donald Trump ambushed him, and it was absolutely hysterical. I'm not a big fan of Jerome Powell, by the way. Yeah, there are so many people telling me to remove my shirt. No, no. I've got to be professional too, unlike Jerome Powell. Yeah, Tom Bennett. Seems Trump is stalking Jerome Powell now. That's hilarious, by the way. Last beacon, again. I would appreciate if you wouldn't spam random shit. Honda Civic does not figure into what we're currently discussing. Let's get to our sponsors really quickly before I get to the rest of the news, because again, it was a little bit of a slow news day. So there are some other things that I wanted to discuss. We're going to ramble about Hunter Biden a bit as well, among other things. There is one really cool piece of archaeological news, although I don't know, did I put it in the docket? Yes, I did, okay. Yeah, it's about a bunch of tunnels that were built in Rome for 100 years ago. And they were using them as bomb shelters and shit. And it looks like they are refurbishing them and getting them fixed up so they can open them to the public in the next few years. That's pretty cool. Sponsors: cultivated-mind.com, where you can get mushroom pills for yourself and mushroom doggy snacks. Doggy snacks actually smell good. I thought about trying one but thought better of it. I take those every single day. They will reinvigorate you. They're made with mushroom extracts. These are organically made and wholesome for your body. Then we've got BiltongUSA.com, the home of Anton's meat, of course. He can give you a sweet, sweet meat, man. And also, anytime we mention Anton, of course, even though I'm sweaty and it's very humid, I can't pass up a little bit of Bovrite. My hands feel sticky and shit right now. I think it's delicious. Use it as a soup base and stuff. We've got Stick, Sex, and Hammer mugs and tumblers available as well. And finally, jamandbean.com. That is jamandbean.com. It's queried, of course, earlier about the Clank blend. Let's just say it's delicious. I don't know if it's technically a medium or a dark roast. I'm not 100% sure. This was just the one. It was the one that they sent to me. They sent 3 prototypes, actually, for coffees to potentially be Clank blend. Number 2 is the one that I chose. This was the smoothest one. Also, they've got various teas available. Yunnan Jig, the Healer, all sorts of stuff. Last beacon. Yes, the fog actually is coming soon. And happy birthday! Yeah, tomorrow it's supposed to be, rainy and cooler here. We'll probably have some fog banks rolling through, and I'm hoping that we do. Rabbit, do you ever get the cow turd off of a mushroom grown of said patty? I don't exactly know what that refers to. I'm assuming mushrooms growing on cow shit? Oh, psilocybin. Okay. Yeah, I know sometimes you can find that in cow pastures. I only took it once long, long ago. Didn't really like it because I accidentally took 4 times the normal dose for my first time. And so since then I had not used psilocybin. Oh yeah, we got to talk about Hunter Biden. This is becoming a problem for the liberals. Hunter Biden's deranged interview a few days ago has been remixed, clipped, memed, etc., as evidence that the Biden family is full of lunatics and that the Democratic Party doesn't really know anything other than Orange Man bad. I mean, both of which are true, but it's just further evidence of that. So this has become a problem for them politically, I think, and they're trying to quietly like shelf the story, it seems. They don't really want to talk about Hunter anymore. That's funny. When it looked like Trump was persecuting the poor bastard, they wanted to talk about him 24/7. Well, Hunter's not an elected official. You know, everyone smokes a little crack when they're in their 40s. Who hasn't? And stuff like that. There was a lot of copium being huffed at the time. And it didn't make the Biden family look good. It didn't make the Democratic Party look good. And so now with this, I think they realize that he's relapsed. I think they realize that he's back on the sauce again. He's back on the pipe again. And they don't really want that dead weight at a time when they're already hemorrhaging politically. Like, they've been flubbing it with youth voters. They've been flubbing it with Hispanic voters. They've been flubbing it with independent voters in the most general sense. And they don't really have any leadership or anything like that. They have a few people that kind of are leaders. I mean, one of them's Chuck Schumer, so, you know, that should give you an indicator of the state of the Democratic Party at the moment. But Hunter Biden has become a massive source of headache for the Democratic Party. He's not in elected office. He's not running for office or anything like that, but he's directly associated with the last president. The problem is they want to quietly retire Biden from the public square. Pretend he doesn't exist, basically, because he did a bad job and, you know, he had to drop out because of dementia and there was a huge cover. So they don't want to talk about him. So when Hunter comes out, because he's Biden's son, and he says delusional things like this, you know, he's just sitting there saying fuck over and over, basically. Well, then it brings up bad memories for the liberals. And, yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, if I was lording over a political party, let's say that I was running a political party, and there was somebody that was that embarrassing directly associated with somebody who wasn't necessarily running for office or in office at the moment, but at the very least was associated with my party, I would try to use any media allies that I had to ignore him and say, please don't run stories on the latest delusional things that he said while he was clearly on the pipe. Hunter was on something during that interview. You can bet on that. Not sure exactly which substance. The best guess would be crack cocaine, but we're not 100% sure. It'd be funny if in between takes he was saying, yeah, excuse me, I gotta use the bathroom. And he's snorting a bunch of coke. Apparently Ashley Biden snorted coke, although in her case she gets a pass because I can imagine when your dad is Joe Biden, you probably do need drugs to get by. Beau Biden decided to simply flee and go off to the desert someplace and say, fuck you, Dad, basically. I would too. Spectre guy sticks, let us summon Halphus and Stolas. Fun times ensue. Yeah. I just need Stolas. Visago is a pretty cool dude too. I could tell you all about these people. And then imagine Ammon is the kindly but and well-meaning but slightly boring museum curator. I could tell you all about the 72 Demons' personalities. I know all of them personally. Yeah, I think Ashley Biden had it worst because, I mean, Biden seems to like young girls. And she was 10 and they were showering naked together. That's generally conceived of as unacceptable at that age. It's like, you know, if you're showering with your kid because you want to save time and it's like a fucking toddler or something like that, maybe that's one thing, but once they get to that age, that's just no longer acceptable in society. I mean, at least in civilized societies. Spectergeist. Well, I did edit a copy of the Lesser Keys of Solomon. I have, I think, 20 grimoires or something like that, actually. Leon. Crack is very easy to make. Just put equal parts Coke, baking soda in a coffee pot. Fill halfway with water, put it in the microwave for 55 seconds. When it's done, put an ice cube in it. It'll rock. I don't know that that's a good idea. Disclaimer, I'm pretty sure that this is some sort of prank to blow up your microwave or something like that. Pretty sure they cook it in vats. Bats. Well, you could probably do it in a dead bat, too. Ozzy probably did that. I'm sure he tried it once. Trump says Obama committed treason. This is Alice in Wonderland-style justice. This is an opinion piece from The Guardian, which isn't even US-based. Let me issue a rebuttal. You can read the article if you want, but it's really just a bunch of pontificating. The justice system in the United States is retarded. I've seen it firsthand on several occasions. That being said, in this particular case, Donald Trump is simply, again, pontificating. He's giving his political opinion that some of these people committed treason. That's based on Russiagate and things of that nature. Now, can Obama get in trouble for this? Probably not. He's a former president of the United States, so he's pretty much immune for anything that he did while he was in office. Although he would probably have to explain to Congress how trying to derail a political campaign was part of his official functions in office. This is a legal battle that we've seen several times before in recent years. The fact is, though, that the idea that Obama is being so sorely mistreated by Mr. Trump, oh my god, he's saying terrible things about him. Dude, the justice system, I like how it brings up, for example, well, it's an old maxim, innocent until proven guilty, but that's not the way that the justice system works. If you've ever had a run-in with it, you would know this. You are guilty until proven innocent in the eyes of the law. It's not the way it's supposed to work, but it is the way that it works. Don't even get me started on the presumption of guilt among law enforcement officials. If the police are talking to you, it's probably not best to talk back, only giving your name, rank, and serial number, I suppose. Again, it's not a good idea. So this is delusional. The fact that the article, by the way, invokes the concept of being like Alice in Wonderland take. No, the article is the Alice in Wonderland delusional take. It's like, how much acid did you drop before you wrote the article? The world may never know. Copium poppies, try the death whistle again. Can't hear it on the microphone. I'm gonna have to rig up the phone, my actual, like my cell phone, my smartphone. Rig that up and do it from a distance, as somebody suggested. So hopefully I can get the sound of the Aztec death whistle actually out there. Yeah, the copium poppies, I got this from him, and it's real fucking cool. It shrieks like a lynx. I've only heard a lynx once before, but it is a reminiscent sound. It does sound very similar. So if you look up a video of a lynx shrieking, it sounds a little bit like that, but much louder. And it's pretty great. I don't know how exactly they're constructed, but they work real well. Fireburn, it sucks. The death whistle doesn't suck. It's fun as hell. No, what'll suck is on Halloween I'm going to go out and troll people with it. That'll be fun. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Like I said, I'm gonna go out and find some partying teenagers who are clearly inebriated and walk up behind them and just shriek their heads off. And they'll go running. It'll be so goddamn funny. I'm gonna be that barmy old codger sort of dude. I'm gonna be like, ha 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 ha. I laugh at your youth. Opinionated junkie. Libs worry about Earth becoming Tatooine via climate change, but support people who want to turn states into Coruscant with endless house building. Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, you're right. That's a good point. Copium poppies, try adjusting your settings. The mic shouldn't be an issue. You probably have some kind of limiter turned on that cuts high sounds and raises low sounds. I don't think so. 100%. Ghost Unspeakable. New green text, the Rutland Screecher. Well, I'm already apparently known as the Rutland Pirate. But imagine that it was a fucked up gothy pirate. That sounds very, very fun to me. RCP Podcast. Did Obama commit treason? Republicans dodge Epstein questions. Will Jerome Powell survive? Did Obama commit treason? Technically, yes, but he was the president at the time, so he's not going to get in any trouble for it. So, for all of you that are out there that hate Obama, I'm one of them. Well, if not hate, pretty much despise, I suppose. He's not going to get in any trouble. Don't get your hopes up. Republicans are not dodging Epstein questions. That was done for a number of years when Joe Biden was president. People were pointing out all the times he sniffed children and things like that. You're never going to get any particular, final report on that either. Because Pam Bondi swears that the client list was there on her desk, but she's unable to release it at this time. Yeah, it's not going to happen. You can't because it's pertinent to an ongoing investigation. I do condemn Kash Patel and Dan Bongino for lying to the public and claiming the list didn't exist when we were already told by the administration that it did, though. That's disconcerting. But I don't think that was Trump's decision. Will Jerome Powell survive? We're not 100% sure. Trump seems to be ready to flip a coin on this particular issue. I think he's going to do A/B testing, which is that he's come out and said, well, maybe I'll fire him, but maybe I won't. Then you read the room. You see what the public's reaction is. Core MAGA's going to want him fired. Core liberals are going to want him retained. He's trying to figure out what more independent-minded voters think about it. He's done this over and goddamn over throughout the years. He did this in his first term and in his first primaries and everything. Just A/B testing. And it works. We see that it works. He got reelected, didn't he? Mike the Wop, clank, motherfuckers. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, I get a feeling that Jerome Powell will probably continue on in his role. I don't think he's going to get shit canned. But stranger things have happened. I mean, the Trump administration doesn't function the same way that other administrations do. They tend to be very boring and formulaic. Now, sometimes that's an advantage. Sometimes it's an advantage to act chaotic and fling shit at the wall. That's what Donald Trump has been doing. It's like in the first 6 months of his presidency, what has he done? He will absolutely onslaught the system with things that can potentially end up in court, and you clog up the judicial system, which clearly he knew beforehand was going to be used against him. I think what he's doing is trying to ram everything down their throats at once so that it's impossible for them to block everything. So sometimes he'll end up with a victory. This tactic seems to be working so far, generally speaking. Spider Eternal. It's trash that crashes all the time. Now my accounts can't send super chats at all because I already own this item. That's bizarre. Strange. Copium Poppies, disappointed. Bought a 10-pound thing of bacon yesterday for $30. It doesn't look like it went bad, but doesn't smell or taste like bacon. It just smells and tastes like pork. So pissed off right now. I can imagine that would piss you off. Yeah, there's no substitute for real, authentic, regular old American cut style bacon. It is the best pork product. The second best is a maple glazed ham. Oh god, I'm sweating so much. Gotta guzzle the goddamn water. Bobby, this leftist I'm debating, thinks he doesn't have to provide evidence of Trump lying other than it's common sense. Lol. I've noted that that does tend to be something that liberals will say. Well, what do you think about it? What's wrong with Trump's ideology? Well, it's just wrong. Okay, well, what about it is wrong? Well, you should know why it's wrong. That seems to be the average political debate with regards to people who suffer from TDS. Many of you have probably also noticed the same thing. Cooking Inferno, maple syrup and bacon. Absolutely. Yeah, when you're eating bacon with your French toast or something like that, and you slather some maple syrup on, yeah, that's the way to go. Desmond Miles, I used to like goth girls, then I found out most are raging libtards. I didn't think goths were always like that. No, believe it or not, you'll find some gothy chicks that are not left-leaning. It is possible to do. Kobe poppies, I can't, I'm high. I like how there's a cohort of people who always show up to chat, and it's like it's almost like a street gang or something like that. Joker Thief, I like gay gothy pirates. I'm two out of three ain't bad, I suppose. Sorry, I'm super straight, so that wouldn't work. Emo chicks were cute back in the day, although most of them are now, middle-aged. And, with 10,000 tattoos and 10,000 piercings and all the self-harm and stuff, many of them aren't aging as well. Just saying. Ben Bacon, why are liberals emasculated sissies and self-hating? Even the communists were patriotic. It doesn't seem like anyone would want to be one. Yeah, I don't understand why anyone would want to be part of such a movement, unless they've been so guilt-tripped and psychologically messed up. Yeah, Bog, get a toga! Anyways, I'm going to get to the archaeological news. This is fascinating. Rome. There's a reason archaeologist Ursula D'Ambrosio can scarcely contain her excitement as she leads the way through dimly lit passageways deep below the Capitoline Hill that was once the heart of ancient Rome. In a city where almost every historic treasure has been laid bare, this vast subterranean labyrinth is an undiscovered world. Now, this is beneath the Roman Forum, right? This has been used. It was made first in the Middle Ages, but it was in continued use until Mussolini decided to seal it up. But now apparently they're renovating it. They're going to open it up for like tourists and shit like that. Of course, they got to go in and make sure everything's safe. Hey, if a tourist gets hit in the head by one of these 5-ton bricks, falling from the ceiling, that might not be good for tourism. So I'm assuming that they're doing a little bit of cleaning. They might find all sorts of crazy shit down there, by the way. If they're doing any form of work or excavation, they might find jewelry. They might find a stashed hoard of gold or something like that. Should be really, really funny. Yes, Robin Hood, France. Yes, the catacombs, the tunnels, the catacombs. The ones that are lined by tens of thousands of bones, actually. Well, actually, technically hundreds of thousands. I want to see the Paris catacombs, actually. I'm not really interested in Paris. Like, some people have this romantic view of it. I'm more like, it's a city. It just happens to be a city with a lot of art galleries and people who don't work. Other than that, it doesn't really draw me, but I would like to see the catacombs. I want to touch the bones. I want to run my tongue along their mouths just to freak people out. Clockwork Lemon, I was literally told that same fucking joke on the street today when I stepped outside during lunch. Most people think it's R, but actually it's C. It's an old. I've been told this joke like 5 times by different people. Now people are encouraging me to hump the bones. No, I'm just gonna freak out everyone else in the tour group. Copium Poppy Sticks, try something really quick. Try blowing into the death whistle but facing away from your mic. I'll try. No, that probably like fried people's things out. Sigil. If they find gold stashed in the tunnels, I bet Israel tries to claim it's theirs. Possibly. Copium Poppies, Queens of the Stone Age filmed themselves playing in the catacombs recently. That sounds cool. Cooking Inferno. Come on, man. I sent you an article about the first Mayan kingly tomb found in 40 years. Much more interesting than the Forum Romanum. Oh. You gotta realize, sometimes, for some reason, and I don't know if other people have this problem. Probably do. Sometimes Twitter does not like to load the DMs. Well, right now it has. Yeah, let me go through them and see. Thou should be put down like a rabid dog and thrown in a pit like Gator and Flam and all those other dysgenic undesirables. I'm part of the rabies awareness gang, so sometimes you see some crazy shit in there. Yeah, I'm not seeing the article, unfortunately. Someone says, "Hail Fauci." You get a lot of trolling. Let's put it that way. Yeah, I'm part of the, Why are you Sean Hannity light? No, I'm the goth Sean Hannity, according to Nick Fuentes. Yeah, I'll, bump it to the top, Cooking Inferno. Sorry about that. Sigil, fart into the death whistle. It'll be silent but deadly. Ha! Benjamin the Dream Wizard, new 100% original AI radio. Song is out today, The Good Old Ways by Elwood Roberts, 1910, in the style of heavy metal. More at Real Air Radio on Rumble. Hey, that sounds fun. I'm gonna copy that link address out. I like some AI-generated music. We're taking a look. Copium Poppies. Nope, didn't work. Try up close to the mic, but blowing lightly into it. I can try. Should just sound like static or something like that. Oh, I like this news story. It's a type of torture. Hear what it's like inside Alligator Alcatraz. CNN talked to immigrants being detained at the Florida facility and created a 3D model to explore what conditions are like inside. CNN's Priscilla Alvarez reports. I love this. Newly built facility with beds, food that's probably edible, and so forth. While it's never good to be imprisoned, the conditions vary greatly. I know this firsthand. You go to New Orleans Parish, and you get put in jail. Big ass room with just, basic bitch chairs, segregated by gender. Can't segregate it by race because, never mind. And then you sleep like 12 to a room, and the toilets are all fucked up, and the food is basically inedible and stuff. If you go to Marble Valley, here in Rutland, you're gonna get real food. And it's not exactly gourmet, but it's definitely edible. And you'll actually get a bed and a blanket. You're not gonna get that in Orleans Parish Jail. Let me tell you that. And so, Yeah, Alligator Alcatraz looks pretty decent. Modern standards, modern facilities. Plus, the same liberals complaining about it never complained about all of the Obama made facilities that are basically the same all along the southern border. So, what? Florida's not allowed to detain people, process them, and then, ship them out? Other states are allowed to do that, and Florida's not. They just have a hate boner for DeSantis at some point. No, Matthew Johnston. It's pronounced New Orleans. It's not pronounced New Orleans. Dr. Haywood Floyd, ever heard about the miles of tunnels under Odessa? A girl got lost and died a while back. No, I actually haven't. Subterranean stuff is fascinating to me. I used to go to a site called Brantonia. It's one of those old sites that was hosted on Angel Fire. I think it's still there. And it had like the entire Inner Earth saga, among other weird shit. Hmm. Lots of stories about aliens and shit. I found it fun. Copium poppies, that worked better. You could actually hear it, but it sounded like air. Try not so lightly in the same spot. Yeah, it's not going to work. The thing is, the microphone can't register a sound that's that high pitched and or loud. So what I'm going to have to do is do a separate video for that using my phone, probably outside. Seriously, though, everyone, it sounds just like a lynx shrieking its head off. Cooking Inferno, send at the top, and if you scroll up a little eastward in the orangutan Clyde, have a message for you. Wait, what? Oh, yeah, I saw that one. News. Let's see. Thank you to Cooking Inferno. Tomb of first Maya ruler of Caracal, unearthed in Belize. Ah, that's fascinating. The team made the discovery in a part of the site known as the Northeast Acropolis when they reopened a burial chamber they had first explored in 1993. This time, as they dug a bit deeper, they hit another chamber, one belonging to the founder of Caracal's royal dynasty, who ascended to the throne in AD 331. The tomb was discovered with the red mineral cinnabar, an indicator of high status, and filled with artifacts, including painted ceramic vessels, carved bone tubes, 3 sets of jade ear flares, and a mosaic jadeite death mask. Damn. Oh, he was 5'7". That would have been rather tall, actually, back in that time period among people, among the Mayans. Yes, thank you for that, Cooking Inferno. Interesting. Sigil Stone, I have a fantastic idea for an instrument, death whistle harmonica. I got a different idea. Imagine you were to take a bunch of these, which again shriek really loudly the more air you force through them, and you were to attach 20 or 30 of them to a machine that pumped out air at a very rapid speed. Or if you just put it on the end of a vacuum that was capable of expelling air, I suppose. That would be a little bit intimidating. Or you could mount them on the pipes of an organ. And you could play the organ and it would be like shrieking. And you'd have to figure out a way to calibrate the tone. I suppose you'd have to have some sort of secondary setup for that. But as long as you could figure that out, it should be fine. Ghost Unspeakable, battery-powered leaf blower. Oh yeah, if you put this on a leaf blower, Jesus Christ. Copium Poppies, when we recorded it for our album, we had to have it right up to the mics we used. Huh. Yeah, I think it's my microphone though. I'll do it outside and I'll use the phone and I'll make a video of it like that. It'll be easier. Lemon curd sticks. Is there such a thing as a caffeine gummy? You could probably make it yourself. All you'd have to do is take like gummy candy and sort of form it around a caffeine pill, I guess. I suppose. I'll try it up close to the microphone, but I don't think you'll be able to hear anything. Now watch, my microphone just gets fucked off under the wheels of a bus as a result of that. Gets overloaded. Yeah, people can't hear it apparently. God, I'm so goddamn sweaty in this fucking weather. Is it a canine skull? Well, this one's 3D printed. I'm not sure what species it is. I think Copium said it was like based off a coyote skull. I'm not 100% sure. I've got a bunch of bones lying around. Maybe I should turn one of those into this. Like, I'll have to figure out how they actually make them and then shove it into the skull somehow, I suppose. We've got a dolphin skull that looks just like a demon, but that's probably, I think that's got too many holes in it, so it probably wouldn't work well. One tall order. Not gonna lie, Sticks, it was really funny this morning on the death whistle video because the mic peaks every time you blow the whistle and you can't hear anything. It's like you're trolling us. LMAO. Yeah, I didn't notice. Apparently somebody said that their dog went crazy though when I blew the whistle. So the tonal quality must be high enough to bother animals when run through electronics. This could be useful. Maybe they should attach them to little like ray guns, so to speak, and then you fire it, and it fires a burst of hypersonic energy at animals and shit. You control with that. Sigil, take as deep a breath as you can and blow as hard as you can into the death whistle. Just fucking blow out the windows and shit. Now, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to have to do it outside and have it recorded from a distance. I'm not going to be able to... I mean, I don't have the setup necessary in here. Also, my dad's not a particular fan of the sound of the whistle. One tall order. I think what you need to do is have someone record you outside from some distance away so it isn't too loud. That's what I'm thinking. Copium poppies. By the way, that hot sauce, if you haven't tried that variety of the brand, try dumping it on your carne asada burritos or tacos with sour cream and pico de gallo. It's really awesome. Yeah, it looks good. I've had one of their other varieties before, and it was pretty decent. Actually, though, I gave that hot sauce to my dad, and I told him it was from you. I use hot sauce only on very few foods, and the collection up there is massive. There might be 70 or 80 varieties of hot sauce at this point, half of which have been sent by people who follow the channel. So Dad's got a huge collection. He just uses whichever, and then I can use it whenever as well. But you don't want to have like 20 open containers, They stand a little bit longer if they're closed up. Huh. By the way, Alice Cooper was trending earlier. People are worried that he's going to be the next 80s star to go. Even tea. Where do you store 70 hot sauces? Well, there's a big old spice rack in the kitchen. Well, there's actually 3 of them. And one of them is pretty much just hot sauces. And other stuff. That hand grenade hot sauce that I got, that's one of the hottest. And then there's the hot salt. That's pretty goddamn spicy. And then I've got several one chips left over here. The one chip challenge. Not recommended. The fire in your mouth is nothing compared to the indigestion that you get afterwards. Copium poppies. Distance will likely not pick it up. The closer you got was the only time the mic picked it up. Your mic is probably better than your phone's. My phone actually has a really good microphone, so it probably that would be better. I'm gonna try it. I'll see what happens. If not, then I'll you know, try to check and see what I can do. Lemon curd, yes, hot salt. It's a salt impregnated with Reaper, actually. And it is, yeah, it's pretty hot. I'd say hottest things that I've ever tried. One chip challenge is definitely number one, which is no surprise. There's a reason why they pulled it from the shelves after that one kid died actually eating it. I would say that the General's hand grenade sauce is number two. Whew, was that hot. The hot salt is number three. Now, what would be number four? Hmm. I would say the Realm Walker sauce, the hottest one that they made. He sent a whole batch to me actually for free, and boy was that stuff good. The green sauce, oh, it's so delicious. It's not very hot, but it's delicious. The hottest sauce that they had though, I think I can't remember. Was it Midgard or was it? I can't remember. They've got I think five varieties. Delicious. But I think that would be a number four, close behind the hot salt. Yeah, the one chip challenge stands undefeated in my opinion as far as pure heat. To the point where afterwards, once you're done with that hour suffering, you're definitely going to want a glass of milk. Then it actually it gets better really quickly. Copium poppies, hot sauce doesn't go bad. Well, it can once it's opened. It's just it takes a while because it's so acidic. This is Mike. Bobby Bobinson is a retarded F word with a low IQ and a small dick. Bobby Bobinson, how about the Kino Casino sauce? Well, I generally try not to drink diarrhea, so, you know. Copium poppies. By the way, that one I sent you is pretty mild for habanero sauce. It's got this really awesome smoky flavor. Oh, well then I may have to use it because my dad's not a huge fan of like chipotle and other like smokier flavored sauces. He just wants to add a little bit of heat mainly. Although he's really liked a lot of the sauces. I mean, pretty much every fucking birthday and Christmas because I knew what he wanted. For like 20 years, what would I get him? I'd get him something spicy. And so it could be some sort of hot sauce batch, or maybe a sampler, or salsas, stuff like that. So I would try to, and each time I would hope that it would be too hot for him. I have not succeeded at this. The problem is, if I gave him the one chip challenge, I have a feeling he would die, so I'm not going to be able to outdo myself. He had something called Mayan death sauce from El Yucateco, I believe it was as well, if I remember correctly. And one time, oh, this is a funny story, and it's Bant's time now, by the way, not news time. There was this one time, this was like 15 summers ago or something, but it smells like yesterday, let's put it that way. He took the fucking Mayan death sauce, and he's cooking a bunch of burgers. And he spreads a bunch of the Mayan death sauce on one of the burgers. And he's cooking it, right? And the smell was overwhelming. I don't know how hot that stuff was. I bet it's at least as hot as like a hyped up habanero. It smelled spicy, and my mom was like, she was like, ugh, and had to leave, the grill side. My nose was burning. There was another time, similar story, where we decided to make horseradish, actually. And it got to the point where everyone's eyes were watering because the horseradish was very spicy. It's homegrown, so it's a little bit different than the shit that you get in the store. And we decided to make a horseradish sauce, and that was funny. Oh, it was hilarious. Good times. One tall order, missing our resident skeleton and zombie, to be honest. It was cool, though. I remember a few weeks ago, Ozzy's robots dropped in for the first time in a while that I can remember. Yeah, I mean, people have things to do. Yeah, I wonder where Wasted Bonehead actually is. Sigil might know. I'm not 100% sure. Sigil, Copium sent me some of that sauce, too. I'm not much for hot sauce, but it's alright. I've been using it. Went good on some Taco Bell. I'll hit up the local Mexican restaurant for some more to use it. We've got an actually really good Mexican restaurant here in Rutland. You wouldn't think it for a small, largely Anglo town. But actually, the Mexican restaurant that's right in the downtown, I can't remember the name of it. What's the name of that fucking restaurant? I'll give them a shout out too. I went to Loose Luna earlier and had an excellent lunch. What's the name of that restaurant that's right on the corner? Taco Fresco. Yeah, they've got some really good food. Their nachos are top quality, by the way. Copium, yeah, that stuff. You can dump a bunch on the tacos without overpowering it. It burns more coming out than in. I just got a great idea for a video. Since my dad's never gonna use most of the sauces and shit that are over there, why don't I do a taste test of multiple hot sauces? I'll just line up like 20 of them and put a little bit on a chip and then do a taste test and give my opinion. How hot is it? How tasty is it? What does it taste like? Yeah, that's a good idea. Now, I could never take any heat in my food until that one time that on a dare I ate a jalapeno in front of my dad. Boy, did it burn at the time, but thereafter I was cured of my heat aversion. Yeah, that's a good idea. A hot sauce taste test. This is Mike. Bring back the skeleton and Ozzy's robots and kick out that cretin loser, Bobby Bobbinson. Bobby is accepted on this channel. He is a clanker, too. He's a critical clanker sometimes, but he's still fun. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll do a hot sauce tasting test video. Man, that's going to be... well, it'll either be tasty or I'll die. Yes, the Wanderer, you are a clanker as well. You're watching the channel on a regular basis. Therefore, you are a clanker. Joker Thief, me and Bobby used to do dirty things behind the tree. Ghost unspeakable. Damn it, Bobby. That boy ain't right. Fenrir Walker. Do runs of mild, hot, and very hot so you don't get burned out. Yeah, I mean, I would, but the thing is, I haven't tried half of these sauces, so I wouldn't know which ones are more mild than others. Because sometimes you'll get, I learned this in the Netherlands first. The Netherlands, the Dutch, they understand the use of mustard, and they love pickling, although they never managed to develop, apparently, keg pickles. Peg pickles? Yeah, that's for a different purpose. They're a different color, probably, too. Anyway, they never figured out how to make things spicy. The spiciest thing that I ever had in the Netherlands that I could obtain in a regular grocery store was the queso from the Doritos company, or Tostinos, I believe it was, from the U.S. Their idea of hot salsa is what I would give a 1 out of 10. Yeah, okay. It tastes a little bit like it has pepper in it. I'm not sure which kind of pepper, but it's definitely a mild one. It's like you'd be better off chewing on an Anaheim. And so they never really learned how to develop spicy foods. I always joke about the Dutch as a result of this because it's like you went, all the way to the Indies in order to get spices, but you never learned how to use them. You were too busy selling them. It's pretty funny. Inland surfer, hi Sticks, found mustard oil at the local Indian market. Though thought I was in a World War I trench when frying with it. Burning eyes and hard to breathe, everyone had to leave the house till it dissipated. Mustard oil, I've never even heard of it, honestly. Sigil, do the sauce stream shirtless to make it extra saucy. No, what you do is you dip your fingers in it and then you whack off. That's a good idea, right? This is why I love doing live streams, because I get like the craziest comments. Cooking Inferno, in order to fully appreciate the hot sauce's usage, you should taste it on something like a chicken wing. Otherwise, it's just heat. But I don't really eat chicken wings. I suppose I could make a batch and put it on there. I'd rather just use like regular old tortilla chips though, just so that I can taste just the sauce and basically there's no interference. That way I can give a proper reading of its flavor profile. Spectre Kai Sticks, if you had a 6-inch clone of Hitler, would you torture it? No. No, I'd give him a little enclosure and a little Israeli flag to wave around. That'd be hilarious. Lemon curd, meatloaf. Try the sauces on meatloaf. The only thing I put on meatloaf is ketchup. Sorry, that would be sacrilege to me. Ketchup is the official sauce of Clankdom. There is no debating this. Sigil, no, you're supposed to rub it on your hands, then pick your nose. Use the nail aggressively. I accidentally did that once. I had been eating something relatively spicy, and I had to itch my nose. I wasn't picking my nose, but I had to itch it. And then the scent kicks in, because now you've got spicy stuff right next to your nostril, right? And yeah, that was bad. Yeah, the spiciest, though, is the one-chip challenge. I don't think that you're going to find anything spicier actually available. And because the one-chip challenge Paquis chips are no longer available, there's a very limited supply of those. Still edible, a little bit past expiration, but it didn't seem like it was off or anything like that. I'm going to keep the other 4. I'm going to put them in a sealed container in a dark place, I think, and just hold them over for 20, 30 years. I'll be like, hey kids, trust me, you'll want to buy one of these because they're worth, several grand. I'm going to collect them. My mom, when she makes meatloaf, it is good, trust me. When she makes it, she never glazes it. When I made meatloaf the first time, I made a glaze. And boy, oh boy, does it really kick it up to the next level. Because when you have the ketchup-based glaze, you don't need to add more ketchup. I mean, I did, but you don't need to. That was funny. Sigil, don't put ketchup on the meatloaf. Cook it into the meatloaf as an ingredient. Much better. Yes, exactly. I would glaze it. Copium poppies. Barbecue sauce is superior to ketchup on meatloaf. Disagreed. Especially during cooking. Some people top it with ketchup when it cooks. They are misguided. What I did is I took ketchup and I think I added... The fuck else did I add? Well, I can't remember the recipe exactly. But I made it only 2 times. The first time, exquisite. The second time, though, I think I added too much of the binder, and it was a little bit on the tough side. Like, it was too dry, basically. It still tasted good. It's just it was kind of dry. Still ate it all, though. That was actually, I believe, at my daughter's first birthday. And a bunch of relatives and friends came over. And I also made a shit ton of deviled eggs. They didn't last very long. I'm very good at making those. I was very happy. One tall order. Imagine giving a one-chip challenge to a medieval peasant. They'd burst into flame and immediately drop dead simultaneously. Yeah, can you imagine, like, if you went back to the olden times, when most people in the world had a palate that was relatively bland, like flavoring your food was basically fat related. You'd flavor it with fat and salt, and that was pretty much it. You had obviously basic kitchen herbs, but you didn't really even necessarily have the ability to afford such seasonings all the time. You know, the upper class would have a bunch of sweets and shit like that, but it wasn't really until, I believe it was the 1200s, that refined sugar even existed. Did you know this? Actually, the Islamists in the Middle East, they believed sugar to be medicinal, and they began extracting it, not into the fully refined form we know today, but they began extracting it. And then through the trade lines, it hit Europe, and only the gentry could afford it, really, unless it was being dispensed as actual medicine, and then all of a sudden you have everything being sugared. Of course, they loved their sweets. They used to boil wine off in lead containers in order to sweeten them, because of course lead is sweet. They didn't realize they were poisoning themselves. Suz, I think you mean chicory. I think so. Copium, what did you use for binder? I used crushed up potato chips, various flavors combined, and saltine crackers instead of breadcrumbs. I used the breadcrumbs, but I put too many in, I think. Also, mushrooms go in the meatloaf. Mushroom goes in meatloaf. My official stance. Robin Hood. I know a guy who can make Renaissance era food. Done it a couple times myself. Also, if you watch Tasting History on YouTube, strongly recommended, by the way, once the live stream is done, of course. He's got a bunch of interesting recipes. He's also got a cookbook out. So does the Golden One, by the way. He's got his own cookbook with his wife as well. And both of them are excellent cookbooks. I have 4 cookbooks now. I've still got Gilligan's Island cookbook right here. Mostly tropical recipes in that one. But Tasting History, I made the Parthian chicken. That's from the Parthian Empire. That's, what was it, 500 AD or something like that. It's like Byzantine era. Excellent, by the way. Came out perfect. Was delicious. And then I made Babylonian beets and beef. It's a rough translation of a recipe from far, far antiquity. So they're not exactly 100% sure what all of the ingredients should be, but it's the best guess sort of scenario. And it was pretty good, yeah. I've made old school recipes from before anyone alive today was born. And Tasting History does that apparently every day. He's got an enviable job. Bobby has now moved to Rumble. This is Mike. Did you know that cashews have the same chemical in them that poison ivy does? Urushiol, probably spelled wrong. I hear this is why people in South America never eat them. Macadamia is where it's at. I don't eat tree nuts. Because one time I was eating, I've told this story, but I don't know if you heard it. I was eating a good, really, really great salad actually over in the Netherlands, and it had crushed walnut in it. And all of a sudden my tongue felt fat, and it started to hurt. And the back of my throat felt a little bit constricted, and I'm like, oh shit, this might be it. Is this really the way that Styx Hexenhammer ends? Thankfully not, but I realized I was allergic to walnuts. The only tree nut that I'll eat is almond. I did dare to try that because I love almonds, and thankfully it doesn't seem I'm allergic to them. But I'm not going to go near macadamias, pecans, hazelnuts, anything like that, because I don't know. And so if I eat them, I could potentially die. That would be a problem. It's kind of hard to make videos when you're dead. I mean, I suppose I can prop my bloated corpse up here as it slowly rots and just start a live stream. Damn, why didn't I put that in my will? That would have been so funny. You have to leave it there for at least 3 days, you know, when the flies are and maggots are swarming around. It'd be hilarious to people. Thankfully, I'm not allergic to peanuts. That's the only one I really would have missed. Sometimes I like to eat peanuts because they're not a tree nut. They grow in the ground and shit. They're not even technically a nut at all. They're a root, technically, I believe. But yeah, I'm not allergic to them. Although that's, I think, the most common nut allergy, actually, which is strange. Cooking Inferno, I have the same experience with walnuts, but I eat all the other tree nuts, no problem. Must be something in walnuts. Yeah, I just I'm not interested in bothering to try the tree nuts because I never ate them anyway for the most part. Never really ate pecans and cashews and shit. One I guess I will slightly miss is actually Brazil nuts. And it's a love-hate relationship with some people. They either love them or they hate them. Some people can't get enough of them, and some people think they're shit. I'm one of the people that can't get enough of them. If I start eating them, I'm going to want to eat a lot of them. They just have a unique flavor, and apparently they concentrate radiation so much from their surroundings that you can't bring Brazil nuts into a nuclear facility because it'll set off the radiation alarms. Apparently, they're that radioactive. Or I don't know if that's a myth or if that's actually canonical. That's what I heard. Copium poppies, macadamia nuts are like heroin. I did like macadamias, but again, I just don't. Yeah, I don't want my tongue to swell up and choke to death on my own vomit. Shani Azul, I prefer D's nuts. Copium poppies, they aren't actually called Brazil nuts. That's just the PC word for them. Hard R toes. Oh, yeah, I've heard that used, yes. CJ, hot peanuts in your mouth. Yeah, I'm going to hmm. Well, waifu body pillow, I do take my hat off sometimes. I am not actually balding. I suggest that you sort my videos from oldest to newest, and then look back through the old ones, and you'll see that I simply have a very, very high headline. Hairline, sorry. There ain't no cope there. Sticks, how much money would you need to shove nuts up your butt on stream? Uh, well, that would definitely have to be a Rumble exclusive, I suppose. Thousands of dollars. Copium poppies. My grandma told me that when I was a kid, even black people called them that back in the day. Yeah, until recently, I hadn't actually heard that reference. I think I mentioned Brazil nuts actually, ironically, in a video a couple of years ago, and somebody mentioned that in the comments. I had never heard it before then. But yeah, I like Brazil nuts. They're quite lovely. Star. Finished with my woman 'cause she couldn't help me with my mind. That's the line. People think I'm insane because I am frowning all the time. Great song, by the way. Yes, Bobby, I would shove nuts up my ass for the right price because I have no morals. But it would be a very considerable sum of money. What you do is you put pop rocks in your ass, and then you inject it with water with a turkey baster. I bet that would be some fun for some of you. Ha ha ha. That would be demented. I bet Joe Biden's done it, therefore. Just saying. Yeah, there's today's challenge. You have to shove a bag of pop rocks up your asshole with a plunger, and then you have to inject water into it with a turkey baster. This sounds like a scene from a sub B-list horror movie or something like that. You know, some dude grabs another dude and chains him up and then kills him with pop rocks. Something like that. That would actually be a pretty funny idea. One tall order. Listen to infectious jelking. This is command to Clankdom. Yeah, I know what jelking is. I've been on the internet for a while. Inland Surfer. Anyone miss red-dyed pistachios? I do remember those, I think. I believe I remember those. Sigil. You heard him, everyone. Jizz into a bag and send your nut to Stick so he can shove it in his ass. Rabbit. CIA split screen show at least 3 of you are preparing for this right now. Oh, there's a CIA report like going live or something? I don't know. Crispy. Sticks. How much to spend one night with Pelosi? A blade to kill myself after the experience because of sheerest guilt. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, but how would you be able to get it up for Pelosi would be the question. Like, I guess if you're into great grandmothers I'd like to fuck that are psycho, then I suppose that's your forte, but it ain't mine. Jeff D. USMC. Good lord, there are a lot of perverted pickle kissers in this chat. Can't believe no one has asked you for nail clippings yet to cast a spell. I like to get weird. I mean, look at me. Do I look like the most normal person in the world? Just saying. And I love it when people cope and they say, well, Styx is losing it now. Styx lost it like 15 fucking years ago. Did you see my older videos? It was way more crazy back then. I've calmed down, or at least tried to. Cooking Inferno sounds like something you'd like to do, Sigil, aka Pepsi Boy. Oh yeah, you could also take like Mentos and stuff them up into your large intestine, and then have someone give you like a what is it, Pepsi or Coca-Cola? I can't remember. Enema, and yeah, you could put that in a movie, a horror movie as well. Just have a horror movie where someone is just totally fucked up and they just try all day to think of the most deranged ways to kill and injure people. And then it's just a series of scenes of them doing so, with very little story involved in between, and very little dialogue other than screaming, because otherwise you ruin the B movie feel. You have to make it deliberately campy. And no special effects, by the way. It all has to be practical effects. I hate CGI. Sigil, red-dyed pistachios were a thing because we got most of our pistachios from Iran, and they dyed them to cover up pistachios that were rotten and fucked up and wouldn't pass customs. Huh. Ah, I didn't know that. Interesting. I'm going to be right back. I'm literally going to go rinse my face off from the fucking sweat, and I need more water because it's like 95 fucking degrees or some shit. So I'll be RB. All right, take a piss and then drink more water so you can piss more. It's basically the name of the game. Let's see. Sigil, the only nut I get is from Cooking Inferno's mom. Inland Surfer, nothing like a peppermint Altoids blowjob. Make sure she dissolves them or you'll get your pecker burned. Cool and refreshing. Sounds like hell, honestly. Might as well use Ben Gay or something like that. Vicks Vapo Rub, that's gelatinous, right? One tall order, I have unfortunately been exposed to a porno of that against my will. Seeing the entire contents of a 2-liter soda bottle launch out of a woman's anus is a sight to behold. Alrighty, I haven't seen that one. Copium Poppies, Sticks, show Clankdom the merch. I will, actually. I'll have to drag that out for Monday's live stream, though, because it's in the other room. Cooking Inferno, since we're on the topic Sticks, do you consider felching an art form? No, but I do know what you're referring to. By the way, if you have a queasy stomach, I don't suggest looking up that particular term. I've seen everything, because I used 4chan way back in the day, so nothing surprises me anymore. Sigil, masturbate with icy hot as a flex. Yeah, that's a terrible idea. Bobby Bobinson, you been gay? No, actually, I've only ever been super straight. I was into girls long, long ago. Can't remember her name, but there was this one girl in kindergarten that I really liked. And I ended up drawing a picture of her, and it came out really well. And she's like, oh, I don't look as beautiful as that. And I'm like, yes, you do. Semi-flirting. But then I also threw pebbles at her on the playground. Just sort of something that happens among the young. It was pretty funny. Let's see, is there any other... RCP may have updated. Yes. Oh, well, this comports to exactly what I said this morning. There was an article about the Democrats trying to autopsy why their party sucked so badly. And I pointed out they were trying to lay it all at the feet of Joe Biden, but Joe Biden's just one brick in the arch, so to speak. It was also Kamala sucking, the shitty economy, which wasn't even 100% Joe Biden's fault. This was something that Jimmy Carter had a problem with as well. It was also the result of the Democratic Party, absent the Biden administration, just the DNC itself, not fundraising properly. The state functions weren't always even communicating with Kamala Harris's campaign. That happened specifically in Pennsylvania. They're not even calling us. They're not coming to meetings. They're not inviting us to meetings. We have no clue what's going on. You had a number of compounding problems with regards to the Biden administration's campaign, and then the Kamala campaign taking off to that. So the Democratic autopsy basically is, well, Joe Biden sucked and he should have gotten out sooner. That's basically what they're blaming for their loss. I hate to tell you this, but Biden would have done better than Kamala Harris. Just saying. MSNBC, no surprise, Gabbard's case against Obama is absurd. Well, yeah, a legal case would be absurd. It would be a waste of time due to presidential immunity, but we now know that Obama was directly related to the Russiagate hoax. We know this. We've got the documentation. It's been declassified. We've all read it. So, yeah. And then there's various other things we could cover, but, One tall order, head on, applied directly to the forehead. Head on, applied directly to the forehead. Head on, applied directly to the forehead. I remember those commercials. I wonder if that stuff actually worked. Sigil, Child Sticks draws a picture of a girl, calls her beautiful, then stones her for being a whore. Child Sticks is on that Chad shit. No, I think... Oh, I remember her name. This is hysterical. Her name was Carrie Fisher. the same name as the actress that played Princess Leia, actually. And you know, you're not gonna. I don't think she has an online presence, so I don't think that I'm talking out of school, literally or figuratively. But yeah, I thought she was nice. Saw her years later, actually, in Seward's, which unfortunately is no longer open. So yeah, there's really no other news in the docket that we can really cover. I hate it when that happens. Some days, you'll get an overload of news. You know, 5 famous people died, 2 politicians got assassinated, there was a massive wildfire that killed 100,000 people. Oh, and war break out in 3 different countries. And it's like, well, I mean, how the hell do I prioritize all of this? What do I put in the main videos? What's my new tech exclusive? What goes in the live stream? Hell, if it happens on a weekend day when I normally don't live stream, it's even worse. Then some days you don't really get that much. This is one of those days. Like the Jerome Powell story is hysterical, but I had already covered it. I had to cycle it back into the live stream as well. At this point, I'm just having fun. Let's see. Oh, speaking of Meatloaf, what do I open to? Haha, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. High Five Prime Rib. Yeah. King Kalawani Burger Topping. 1/4 cup dairy sour cream. 1/4 cup mayonnaise. 3/4 of a teaspoon of curry powder. 1/2 teaspoon of onion salt. Or you could substitute celery salt, really. That's what I would do, probably. 2 tablespoons of raisins. 2 tablespoons of flaked coconut. And 2 tablespoons of coarsely chopped peanuts. Combine the sour cream, mayonnaise, curry powder, and onion salt. Chill the mixture for an hour. Stir in the raisins. Spoon the topping on burgers and sprinkle with coconut and peanuts. Makes 1½ cups. Sounds like it might be good for a burger, actually. I'm a big fan of coconut. Marianne's Gilligan's Island Cookbook. Yeah! Sounds pretty good, actually. Sigil Stone. The secret to making great meatloaf is anything for the love, but don't do that. Har, har, har. I think you mean to do anything for love, but not that. By the way, it's still not exactly clear what he was referring to. There are multiple theories as to what he won't do for love. Meatloaf was a cool dude. He said, screw this shit. By the way, I never realized. This is something I didn't realize until Meatloaf died and I opined about it. And I was like, you know, rest in peace Meatloaf, because I like his music. Great in Rocky Horror and so forth. And then he had that big hit in, what was it, 1991, I think. I Would Do Anything for Love. I think that was 91. I can't remember the exact year. But I was like, you know, rest in peace Meatloaf. He was a great musician. And some people were like, no, Meatloaf is terrible. How can you possibly like Meatloaf? The food of the band, you know, or the singer. I like Meatloaf. And by the way, I like doing the time warp. When you do the time warp, at the end, you've got to collapse. It's part of the show. Paradise by the Dashboard Lights was a great song, yes. I mean, isn't one of his albums literally the top-selling album of all time, if I remember correctly? At least it's up there. And the funny thing is, at one point, he went broke, actually. He made a series of calculated errors, and despite the fact that he's making huge sums of money off of just the returns off of his prior albums, he basically went broke. And I think he had to restructure, like, his entire finances, if I remember correctly. Chico Julio. My next prediction is Clint Eastwood. I don't like saying it, but he is in his 90s. I think that Clint's got a few more years in him, actually. Sigil. Ever watch Sock Puppet Parody and their version of the Time Warp? Better than the original. Hard to get better than the original. Drug-infused insanity that still gets cult replayed at theaters all around the country every single day. Yeah, I want to go to a film screening of Rocky Horror at a theater and like do the time warp and shit. That's what I want to do. I'll be the only sober one in the audience. Everyone else brought their own flask, so to speak. Yeah, we've got to get a death pool going. Who's the next major celebrity to go? People are mentioning Shatner. They're mentioning Clint Eastwood. They've mentioned Alice Cooper. Uh, hmm. Oh, no. Who would I would guess would be next? Let me think about that for a second, because Ozzy's gone. And fucking a bunch of other people already. This year has been a brutal year for people that are rich and famous. I think I'll go with Alice Cooper, actually, over Clint Eastwood. Because Clint Eastwood seems invulnerable. I don't think that I think he'll make it to 100, possibly. Yeah, rolling for Bill Gates. I'm hoping for Bill Gates. No, Chris Potter, it can't be Chuck Norris. He's definitely immortal. Steven Seagal, that would be a good guess. Sigil, the sock puppet parody version of Time Warp is let's use the washboard again, because they're sock puppets. Huh. One Tall Order. Have you ever seen Vanishing Point? No, I've never even heard of it, actually. Ah, Treebeard. Yeah, Willie Nelson. That would be a good guess, too. Yeah, that's a possibility. One Tall Order. Bad week to be an 80s cokehead. Copium Poppies. Shatner blocked us on Twitter, which got us a label out on our account for months. Fuck William Shatner. He's my pick. But he is William Shatner. He is Captain Kirk. I don't do as good a Shatner impression as I do certain others, but at the very least, it is competent. Sigil Stone. I'm going with Cosby soon. Oh yeah, Bill Cosby. Yeah. Shit, that could be beyond believing. I hope not Bruce Willis. He's suffered. Oh, that's right. He's on his way out too. Bruce Willis is all messed up, and I really, I take umbrage with the family for publicly posting everything that they do with him, like on Instagram and shit like that. It just feels exploitative. If somebody, like, if I got demented and somebody's like, oh, here's my dementia patient partner or my dementia patient son enjoying a cup of tea, and they start posting on the internet, I'd be pissed, actually. Mm. Has anyone ever seen the movie The Park Is Mine? By the way, great movie. Copium Poppies, William Shatner is a piece of shit, no matter who he played. Yes, but he is also Captain. He is also Captain Kirk. One Tall Order, Sticks. It's about a USMC Vietnam veteran driving a stolen car across the country while high on drugs. Great movie, probably right up your alley. Does sound like it. I have to look that up. Vanishing Point. Okay, let me cue that up for later. That's not how you spell point. 1997. Yeah, it already looks good from just the stills that I'm seeing. So yeah, I'll make sure to watch that. Copium Poppies. Captain Kirk was a pussy. Only with those little furry creatures there, what the fuck were they called? Tribbles. Sigil. All right. Bill Cosby or Dick Van Dyke is next. Oh, Dick Van Dyke. Yeah, I forgot. He's like massively old and kind of messed up. So we'll have to do like a death pool. We've got Bill Cosby, Dick Van Dyke, William Shatner, Alice Cooper, and a bunch of other people. Ah. I still think I'm going to go with Alice Cooper though because he abused his body with like drugs and shit for so long. He had to have done some damage. So I think he's the most likely. And then we've got Cosby. He's messed up, and of course he used a lot of drugs too. I don't know, I think it's a tie between the two of them. Now watch Dick Van Dyke hits 110 years old. He becomes one of the oldest people in the world or something. Seems like nothing can stop the man. One Tall Order sticks. The 1997 is the remake. The remake is great, but not as good as the 70s original. Ah, okay, I'll have to watch the original. Copium Poppies. Dick Van Dyke is a funny name. Okay, yeah, the original's 1971. Looks like the audience generally liked it a lot. With Barry Newman. Yeah, that sounds like fun to watch. Broken Prophet, Phil Collins. I know that he's got some problems, but I don't think so. Uh, John S. Robert Plant. I hope not. Anyways, please send no more super chats because I'm going to be going offline in a minute. Sigil, imagine Alice Cooper does the Elvis thing and dies on the toilet. He'd be forever known as Alice Pooper. Yeah, that would be pretty funny. He'd probably die smiling. In his last moments, he'd be thinking of the irony and of his name and he'd be chuckling at it, probably. They're gonna call me Alice Pooper. Oh. And then he just croaks. Copium Poppies. Did you ever listen to the album Eldolon by Richelieu yet? No, I still haven't gotten a chance to do that. My apologies. Fenrir Walker. No one said Ghislaine. Very interesting. Yeah, that's because she's clearly been given a deal. Basically, shut the hell up, and we're going to put you into a low security facility where you can predate upon, young women, which is what she's into, as well as men. She doesn't seem to really care. You can predate upon them, because you still have a considerable amount of money, and be like, look, I'll give you $300 to suck my clit, or something like that. That's probably what she's doing right now, and I'm not joking. She's in a low security facility. She's in no danger. They wouldn't have put her in a security facility at all if they intended to kill her. What they want to do is buy her silence, basically. I think that they killed Epstein under obvious circumstances. They killed him to keep her quiet more than anything else. She probably knows more about the guest list than he does. And so they decided to buy her silence, effectively. Second she steps out of jail, her life is in danger. Until then, I think she's fine. My dad is frustrated at something out there. This happens often in the kitchen. Jesus fucking Christ, he says. Funka Puppet, I met Pyong Chekhov Shatner and Takei a few years ago. I bet Chekhov dies next out of the three. Huh. my, my dad currently sounds like Tourette's guy. Oh, by the way, if anyone has not seen the Tourette's Guy saga, I suggest that you check it out, preferably when on substances of one sort or another. Tarred and feathered. Bruce Campbell has late stage cancer. Okay, that would be something that would piss me off. Don't you take Bruce Campbell from me. Uh, yeah, that's not the same Bruce Campbell that you're thinking of. No, you're thinking of a different Bruce Campbell. That's not the actor. This is the problem with AI too. You'll look something up like, Bruce Campbell or anything else, and Google and other AI is very, very bad at giving you the actual relevant result unless you refine what you're actually typing in. Evan T. No, Ghislaine is not hot. No. Yeah. Anyways, I'm going to go offline. I will be back on Monday. Don't worry, Copium Poppies. I will definitely show off some of the other stuff there, like the shirt and so forth. But yeah, I've got to get cool because I'm literally drenched in sweat right now. It's terrible. I don't like this kind of weather. I like those days where it's breezy. It's a little bit warm, but it's just a little bit breezy too, and preferably with rain. Thankfully, I believe we're supposed to get massive thunderstorms later, so this pleases me greatly. Uh, Either that or, just regular old weather. 80 degrees, perfectly fine. When it gets into the 90s and the humidity is full, that's a little bit different. I'm a Vermonter, Christ's sake. I'm used to trudging around in snow up to my knees. That's about all. Peace out.